Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the Bibiano versus Garcia fight. And so if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Bibiano is 23-0 with 9 KOs, and Garcia is 22-5-1 with 13 KOs. This fight is fully vacant IBF World Super Flyweight title. Bibiano's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Kolofe, and Garcia's last fight was a win via TKO in round 1 versus Sanchez. Garcia is 34 and Bibiano is 29. Garcia's losses have come versus Butler in 2021, Santiago in 2020, Marzan in 2018, Delgado in 2018, and Varro in 2018. And he is on a 10-fight winning streak. And to speak a bit more about what I've just been saying, like I said, this is for that now vacant IBF World Super Flyweight title. It's interesting to see how and to why this has become a vacant title, because Martinez won it when he beat Ioka and is now going in for the rematch versus Ioka. And you'd think, because it's a rematch, and it's against the same opponent, they've already had both the belts on the line in the first place, you'd think, it's fine to have the belts on it again, same belts. But the IBF have gotten involved like they did like they have done in the heavyweight division for Usyk versus Fury. That's also this weekend. They've gotten involved for a rematch. They've said because they're going for the rematch, because they're not going for a mandatory challenger in Bibiano, they're going to strip him. It's a bit unfair, and Martinez has seemingly been forced to vacate. I don't actually know if it was a strip or a vacate. I'm not exactly sure, but he's been forced to vacate, seemingly, like I say, because the IBF has gotten involved. So it means that Martinez Ioka fight is only for the WBA title. To an extent, maybe it's a good thing, because it gets the division moving a bit more, and it means that there's going to be a new champion. But at the same time, Martinez has worked hard to be champion. He beat a great champion, and he's warranted to have them two belts. And so, Bibiano, Garcia, yes, this is for, like I said, that vacant title, but you'd have to think that they probably think that it's not warranted, really. It's not as deserved as that of a Martinez, who actually has beaten the official champion in Ioka, and had the belts himself. Like I say, it's interesting to see that that's happened. Obviously, the biggest name, the biggest kind of draw around in the super flyweight division at the moment is uh, Bam Rodriguez, but everybody's going to be queuing up wanting these kind of matchups. So I suppose having a world title would be huge, because it's going to create the possible matchup with a Bam Rodriguez, who is a big name and will probably bring in quite a big payday. But like I said, it's just interesting to see for me, and it is interesting to see how continuously the IBF is getting involved. I mean, you've just seen Canelo as well, basically having to get forced to vacate his belt because he didn't want to fight School, because School wasn't really a big fight. So like I say, it happens a lot and is becoming a more regular thing, the IBF having just clear authority, because you don't really see any other mandatory bodies doing this. You don't see the WBO doing this. You don't really see the WBA doing this. So, like I say, it's just interesting to see. Obviously, this fight is in Japan. It's an all Mexican matchup, which is in Japan, which is again another thing that's a bit interesting for this fight, because I know that there is a lot of lower weight attention in Japan. There's also that Mexican talent, like I say, Bam Rodriguez is that clear one, but there is other Mexican talent in the lower weight division still. But it's just, like I say, interesting to see how it is in Japan, and they are getting these big fights, these big matchups. And when you just saw last weekend Nishida fighting in Japan for a world title, perhaps you could have thought that this fight could have been on that, but instead it's on its own card, its own show. Two Mexicans headlining a show in Japan. I mean, I'm not really too sure how well boxing outside of Inoue and Nakatani actually sells in Japan, but nonetheless, it's, like I say, it will be interesting to see how well this fight would actually sell. It's a first 12 rounder for both of them. Garcia, like I say, has got that experience. He's fought some quite tough, good names. I mean, Santiago is a former world champion, and I believe fought Nakatani not too long ago and got beaten. Butler as well is a very good name as well, and perhaps in recent times has fallen off a little bit, and I'm not really too sure what's happening with his career at the moment. But he's in that time in 2021 was riding quite a high, and so it wasn't a bad performance by Bibiano. Even though he did get dropped early on, he managed to survive, take it to a split decision. He was, I mean, not Bibiano, Garcia. He was aggressive. He was, the same kind of style in which he always has kind of had, which is like I say that aggressive style, and he was able to make it a close fight between the two of them. Since then Garcia's gone, he's kind of moved away from these big matchups. Perhaps he's been trying to rebuild a rank, put himself back in a position where he is warranted a world title fight or warranted a big fight, and has kind of waited his turn, which I don't blame him. He's never lost via stoppage, and he's definitely got that, which helps back him. He's still a highly ranked fighter. He's been, like I say, going away fighting his Mexican journeyman. I'm surprised by his style that he doesn't get more stoppages. Obviously, he doesn't, but you also have to think at the same time when you kind of look at other journeymen and other opponents in which are on paper there to lose. You kind of think that they are going to bowl over a lot of the time, and they won't be able to deal with a fighter like Garcia. But Garcia, against these Mexican journeymen, they always seem to be holding on and being able to get through. And I don't think that's any discredit to Garcia. I don't think that's saying that he hasn't got power or anything like that. I think these Mexican journeymen are just very strong-willed and are, like I say, wanting to hold on, wanting to push through no matter what, and are just able to better than any kind of other journeyman that you see around the world. And so, it's just interesting again to see and how he's gotten this 10-fight win streak, but he's still, even with that aggressive style in which he possesses, still not been able to get too many stoppages or win clearly, like I say, via stoppage, even though he has that style which definitely could cause problems to the likes of a Bibiano, who, yes, is a Mexican as well, but doesn't really fight like one, in my opinion. I think he has a bit of a different style, and I think he's shown that in his last performance, especially. And I'm going to speak a bit more about him in just a minute, but like I say, first 12 rounder for both. This is Bibiano getting this step up in which he's been realistically waiting for. I believe there was talks of him fighting Tanaka not too long ago, but obviously everything that happened with Tanaka going on to lose, like that slowed things down a little bit. But Bibiano again himself, he's had to wait his turn, and now he's gotten this shot, and he's, of course, like I say, that unbeaten guy, so he's going to have that expectation, that pressure upon him to deliver. But is he going to be able to? I'm not too sure. Bibiano, as a fighter though, he's a controlled fighter. I think he's definitely the better boxing technician than that of Garcia, and is going to be able to probably have success through a good jab in which he possesses, his quite fast hands, probably faster style, faster hands, cleaner, more accurate work than that of Garcia, where he's able to show his good fundamentals in which he has, and parry shots, catch shots, move around the ring relatively well, have comfortable exchanges at a mid-range if he's allowed to do so. That's where he likes to be, and he likes to control the pace in that aspect. He's a, like I say, very controlled fighter in general. He stands his ground well at the same time. I think he is gonna probably go on the back foot at times if necessary, but he will have his moments where he'll plant his feet and stand his ground quite well, and push you back from mid range with them rangy shots in which he does throw. He's got solid reactions and typically will, like I say, try and counter you, catch the shots, parry them, then go for a quick counter with the fast hands, with the fast reactions. That could definitely catch Garcia out, but I just think a Garcia style might be something in which Bibiano hasn't really had to face so far. He's patient, he's efficient in his work, to be honest. A lot of his shots aren't really too wasted. When he finds his range, though, I think he has to find his range and be able to work that out. And as soon as he does, I think after that his work's quite efficient and it's good, it's clean. Like I say, it's the more accurate when he gets it going. He does also turn into his body shots quite nicely. Again, sitting it down on his shots. I think he sits down and twists into his body shots nicely. He's a mid-range type fighter, and in general, he will try and walk you down as well if you allow him to be on the front foot. He will try and walk you down with his rangy strikes. Negatives about him, I think he is the slowest starter out of the two, and in general is the slower paced, slower tempo fighter. When he gets into a groove, he gets into his rhythm, he tries to get his singular shots going, but in general, I do think, like I say, he's a slower type of fighter. He, like I say, often goes with the singular shots. They're nice, they're accurate, they're clean, but they're not really doing too much. Again, another guy in which his record isn't really full of knockouts or anything like that, but that's because I believe he does have them singular shots. Again, like I say, he's not really that, from what I've seen personally, that typical Mexican type fighter. I don't believe he has that aggressive type style in which he's gonna just let everything go and not stop coming forwards. He's gonna come forwards, but he's gonna go with them single shots, go with the jab, try and work off with the rangy strikes, and occasionally go for the big body shot or the big singular shot in which he plants his feet and tries to land. And like I say, it's gonna make it more difficult for himself to be able to get fighters out of there by fighting like that. He has to be very accurate, have to have excellent timing to be able to consistently get fighters out just through singular shots alone, unless they have that, crazy type of power, in which I don't believe Bibiano has. He's got not the best of head movement. In close exchanges, I don't think that's where he does his best work at all, and that's where Garcia is really going to try and force and push him there. He wants to have a boxing fight. Will that be allowed? Will Garcia allow that? I doubt it, but he's going to be wanting to have, like I say, that more technical boxing fight, and he's definitely the more technically gifted fighter than that of Garcia, but that doesn't always, that's not always what's going to win you fights, to be honest. He I don't think deals with a high pace that well. His shot variation is limited, and he doesn't cut off the ring when he is walking you down, when he is coming forwards, as well as what he should do. But I don't think that Garcia does that well either. I think Bibiano is a lot more controlled when he's coming forwards than that of Garcia, who is overcommitting, overreaching a lot when he is trying to cut off the ring. And so neither of them are the best at it. But I think Bibiano is a bit more smarter with the way in which he's trying to cut off the ring. Garcia as a fighter, obviously, like I say, he's that pressure fighter. He's an in close type fighter as well, and he can fight at a mid range and will be comfortable to let his hands go at a mid range. But it's a lot better work in close. He pushes you back. I think he recovers well. Obviously, like I say, he suffered that knockdown versus Butler. Has gone away and had fights that have been lesser fights since then, like I mentioned. Perhaps that's again just, recovering from the loss, trying to rebuild himself, get himself back comfortable again, and perhaps we're going to see even better version of him who has an even better chin than before. But like I say, getting dropped in the first round versus Butler and being able to come back, it shows that he can recover well, even if he got hurt. And it looked like, it's a bit of a flash knockdown, but maybe he got hurt a little bit off the shots. He's aggressive. He comes with continuous big shots. Pretty much all his shots are going to be clubbing shots in which he comes forwards fired up more than anything. He looks very fired up. He looks like he has realistically no fear when he is coming forwards. He imposes himself. He's physical and is going to be a real handful to deal with. He often is overwhelming in general, and it's going to be interesting to see how Bibiano is able to handle that overwhelming, like I say, come forwards type style, who has no fear, is going to be fired up. Perhaps he's faced that in the past fighting fellow Mexicans quite a lot, but this is, I believe, a step up version. It's not just a fighter who is just going to be coming forwards and just standing straight in front of you. He is, but he's going to be clubbing with the shots in which he's going to be coming forwards with. He controls the pace. I think he goes to the body well. I think he's bullish. I think he's a front foot type fighter. He moves you around the ring, even though perhaps he's kind of chasing you a little bit and trying to force the fight quite a lot. He's definitely moving you around the ring, and Bibiano, I just don't know if he's had to deal with anything like that. And I think he's got better movement, Bibiano, but is he going to be able to make it count is the question, and that's something I don't know. He uh, pushes you back, like I say, recovers well. He's hard to slow down. He's got a good work rate, and so yeah, like I said, there is going to be tough attacking things in which Bibiano is going to have to deal with. Negatives about him, obviously, he's been dropped, he's been perhaps hurt staying in range too long, and Bibiano, like I say, if he has that timing on his side, if he lands a nice shot when he plants his feet, in which he definitely could do, he could hurt or drop Garcia, and perhaps if he goes on to get a stoppage win, it would be a big statement win. That could be something in which I could see perhaps happening. He doesn't deal with paired up shots too well. Like I say, Bibiano normally comes with a singular shot, so I don't think you have to deal with that too much. But I just don't think he deals with paired up shots, and like I say, he maybe can eat one punch and then will just keep coming forwards. That's that rushing in type style in which he has. He's got unorganised footwork. He's definitely going to be very messy with his footwork, standing straight in front of you, really overcommitting, really overreaching, poor accuracy, throwing from very far away, from very wide out as well, wide out with wider footwork at the same time. So he could definitely be caught again for a flash knockdown. His speed isn't as good as that of Garcia, in my opinion. He walks onto, he's got no setup in his shots, to be completely honest. Like I say, like I was mentioning, the technical ability of Bibiano is much more superior. So it's just going to be all down to if he gets drawn into a fight, I think, to be honest. Bibiano, he's got a lack of control. He throws from the hip. He's got a lack of a jab. He doesn't really go on the back foot at all. So that, like I say, again, various different things in which could definitely play into Bibiano's favour. Bibiano is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Garcia is going to win by a TKO in round 4. Perhaps it's a surprising thing to say. Like I say, I don't think Garcia is that good of a boxer. I think if he goes up against a Bam Rodriguez, if he goes up against Fernando Martinez, who perhaps has got a bit of a similar style but just in a better at it, I think he's going to struggle. I think Ioka could cause problems for him. I think any of the other top fighters in the division could really cause some issues for him, but I just think Bibiano's just not had to deal with that yet. Like I say, perhaps he could catch him with a singular shot when he plants his feet and goes to the body. If Garcia is able to continue walking through that luck, I think he's going to be able to. He's going to be on rushing. He's going to be chasing Bibiano around the ring, to be honest. He's going to be throwing wild. He's probably going to be landing quite wild. And I just don't think that Bibiano is going to be able to deal with it, in my opinion. So I think, like I say, Garcia to win via TKO in round 4. And then, like I say, there's multiple options of perhaps we could go on to fight next. You know, it's a big statement win for Garcia. It's the biggest achievement in his career. It will be him becoming a world title in quite a shocking fashion. Martinez versus Ioka, like I say, is for that WBA belt, and if Martinez is able to win, I'm sure he's going to want the IBF belt back, and so he's probably going to be pushing and really wanting that fight. And I'm sure Ioka would be the exact same as well. Cortez is another option who he could fight. Cortez has not too long ago, I believe, lost to Nakatani. But other than that, he's on a couple fight win streak. He's got a good record still. That could be a good fight. I believe he's the highest ranked fighter in the IBF rankings at the moment. Rodriguez, of course, could be an option. I'm sure that Matchroom are looking around, trying to find another opponent for him, trying to see where the big fights are. And, it's not a big name. It's not a real big selling point, something like a Garcia, but unification fights, they sell. Whoever they're against, they would sell, and I'm sure that's what Rodriguez would want at the moment. I don't think he's quite ready to move up into another division or anything like that yet, Rodriguez, so I think that could happen. Or Tanaka, like I said, a Tanaka fight was in talks for, from what I believe, Bibiano a little while ago now, and obviously that didn't happen, but Tanaka is coming off a loss, but perhaps that fight could still happen, because I'm sure Tanaka could get pushed back to a world title just like that. But we will have to, of course, wait and see. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like it if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.